Welcome back to the Andrew and Ian Show. I'm Andrew Surrick here again with Ian. Hi, Ian. It was NBA trade deadline day. We had a pretty busy week in the MLB as well. And obviously, we got Super Bowl this weekend, man. And I know no one really is excited for this game besides maybe Chiefs and Eagles fans because America did not want this one.
I mean, I for sure didn't want this one. I can't necessarily speak for the rest of America, but we've got a good feeling, I can say.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow us on Twitter or X, you see my ass fucking posting all the time, and everyone knows that, like, yeah, this is not you know, this is just not the Super Bowl anyone wanted. Everyone wanted, a Bills Lions or something like that. So, um, yeah, but let's get right into it. We're going to talk NBA trade deadline first, and we got two big trades that we really want to talk about. Everything else is kind of minor trades. Um, and we'll start in Miami. It's the end of an era in Miami. Um, Jimmy Butler is no longer part of the Miami Heat. He went to the Golden State Warriors in a five-team trade between the Pistons, Sixers, Jazz, and then the Heat and the Warriors, obviously. The Pistons picked up a couple players and a couple picks. The Sixers just got some cash considerations. The Jazz got cash considerations, couple picks, KJ Martin, Josh Richardson. The Heat getting Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Davion Mitchell, and a first round pick from the Warriors. And the Warriors only getting Jimmy Butler. Um, and so it's the end of an era in Miami for Jimmy Butler, who's been there for a very, very, very long time. And this is going to really help make that push for this Warriors team, who have been very competitive this year. And I think, they realize with what they have right now, especially Steph Curry playing the way he has been, they think this is a really, really good year to go for a championship. And this is the type of player that I think can take them over the top.
I mean, it's the Warriors, right? They're always seeming to find a way to not only just make the playoffs, but make some noise in them. And like you said, this is definitely a move that moves that needle. I mean, they've always had, the makings of a big three on the Warriors with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, fill in the blank, right? Enter Jimmy Butler
Right.
now. My thing is, it's weird as someone who doesn't really pay attention to basketball, as a fan of other sports, looking in to see a five-team trade. But you don't really see that often, much less a multiple-team trade in many of the other leagues. But here we do see a five-team trade, and it's weird. Teams are only getting cash consideration at the end of the day, while multiple teams are getting away with picks and players, or even if the Warriors got away with one player, they got a superstar player in Jimmy Butler. So sure, at the end of the day, it looks like they might have gotten shorted, but they got a star player, and that's what they needed.
Yeah, you kind of hit on it because obviously we both don't watch basketball. I mean, I do when it's on at the bar, but like it's just such a boring game to me now, especially because all everyone does is shoot threes. Take away the 3 point line. That's all I'm saying. But uh, you never see this. You never see a five-team trade in any other sport. You never see it in baseball. The most I've ever seen in an NHL trade is three. And we had one, a few weeks ago with that Natchez and Rantanen trade involving Chicago a couple weeks ago that we talked about when that happened. And you know, you don't even see three-team trades in the NFL. Either it's the NFL and MLB. You never see multi-team trades, but I think this is the first time I've ever in you know just keeping track sort of the NBA. I've never seen a 5 team trade. I haven't even seen a 4 team trade before. But to have a 5 team trade, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's a lot of working parts you got to have. I mean, instead of like, it's a rough job to have as a GM during a trade deadline to have be on the same page as just one other GM to get a trade going, right? I mean, we've seen all of these things, from like draft days and all of these, other mid-season things where you're the mind of the GM, you're in the room of these executives, and you see the inner processes, and it's just like I would hate to be at the middle of a 5 team trade. Because not only do I have to sit there and I have to talk up you know, I have to talk up 4 other fucking guys for this shit. I have to convince 4 other people. Now, granted, the more you get on board, the easier it is. But still, you gotta have 5 GMs all on the same page.
Yeah, getting 5 guys to agree to a trade. I mean, like even like in the NHL, 3 team trades. I mean, they're not that common, and it's because you're trying to convince 3 people uh, to make a trade, and it's just it's super tough, and someone gets the short end of the stick in those sort of deals. I don't know much about most of these players that were traded around between all these teams to know if uh, to know if they're actually like that good or important or whatever, or if they're just G League guys. I don't quite know, but you know, you're still trying to convince 5 people or 4 other people, to make a deal, and I don't know if anyone got short end of the stick. I guess technically speaking, Philly got the the short end of the stick because all they got was cash considerations out of it. I wonder if their owner's related to Chris Ilitch.
Yeah, might be. If not through blood, some other way.
They are related. Oh, that's all I'll say of
Just
that.
leave it at that.
That's what I would say. And then we got another trade here that didn't happen today, but it did happen earlier this week, and I'll let you talk about this one. And this one, I think, was the biggest of all of this week.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl week, and who the fuck would have guessed, right? I mean, this is the first time an NBA trade in recent memory has, gotten me saying, holy shit, this just happened. Of course, we all saw Luka Doncic went to the Lakers in a 3 team trade that included the Jazz. Yeah, so pretty much it was the Lakers and Mavericks swapped Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis. The Lakers received Luka, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris from the Mavericks, who announced the trade Sunday. Dallas acquired Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and the Lakers' 2029 first-round pick. And then Utah received Jalen Hood, Shafino, the LA Clippers' 2025 second-round pick, and the Mavericks' 2025 second-round pick as well. So this is a 3-team trade, and pretty much every team got something out of it. I mean, Dallas, sure, weird trade. I mean, for your GM to okay this, I guess congrats, Jerry Jones. You're not the most inept GM in Dallas anymore. And then the biggest takeaway I think I have for this one is, I think it was the Jazz GM had no clue. He was helping the Lakers acquire Luka until it dropped. That's a hell of a GM job right there. To not know, or to not let someone else know that you're trading a superstar of that quality to the Lakers until the deal drops. Hats off to them.
Yeah, hats off to everyone involved there to not let any of that information leak out. Um, you know, to anyone involving Luka being traded. I mean that is a huge trade, and I mean it is it's big a big change for Luka. Obviously, now he has to kind of share the spotlight with, I mean, LeBron. I mean, it's fucking LeBron, right? So you got to share the spotlight with him. Um, for the Lakers, man, I mean, this puts you way over the top. I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to catch OKC right now, because I mean the Thunder have been playing like ridiculously well all year. But I think this instantly jumps you up to a true contender in the West this year, for for the playoffs and for the championship as well. Because now you have a guy like Luka who is a true star, and you have obviously LeBron who isn't as good as he used to be, but is still really fucking good. Um, and that team in general was already really good, really well constructed. But now you add a guy like Luka to it. I mean that takes you over the fucking top.
Yeah, I don't know the NBA standings right now, so I'll take a look at them. Let's see.
Yeah,
Right now, the Lakers are
the
the five
Lakers are,
seed.
are the 5 seed. Yes.
I could see them being a top three by the end of the year with this, just simply because, like you said, LeBron might not be prime LeBron anymore. He's still giving Father Time a massive middle finger right now. Like he's playing
Kind of like
just not good.
he's if you want to draw a hockey reference, he's the Ovechkin of the NBA.
Honestly, I mean, he's producing at an age where people are more often than not retiring or considering retirement because they're just no longer producing, and it's ridiculous to see what he's doing. I mean, hell, he's playing with his fucking son. I mean, that's how long this dude is playing. 18 years plus. Now his son is in the league. Ridiculously long career, and to be playing like this, and to even have his team in this position, and now you add a player of Lucas caliber. Like you said, they're over the top now. OKC, that's a very tall order to surpass. They might have this one seed secured at this point.
Yeah,
LA could make some noise, and they might end up
they
in the two spot.
they could easily make some noise. I don't think they're catching OKC, but there's a good chance, I think. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up our NBA trade deadline coverage. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of big trades today. I mean, but that was the big one, and obviously Luka getting traded as well. That was huge news, and it was funny because when I think I woke up late as shit. Like it was after all the news had dropped, and I was like, "Huh?" Like I would not have expected Luka to be on the move, um, at all. But here the fuck we are. So, anyways, we're gonna move on now over to the MLB because we had some pretty big signings happen this week as well. So, Ian, I'm gonna let you lead us with that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with some big news coming out of New York. It was either earlier today or late yesterday, but the Pete Alonso saga is no longer going. He is returning on a 2-year, $54 million contract with an opt-out after the first year. So this is what I believe the Mets are giving him a prove-it deal. You want that money? Earn it. So they gave him 2 years, and I mean, $54 million is not bad for a player that's going to give you pretty damn close to 45, 50 home runs a year. Serviceable defense, I mean, enough to keep you competitive. I'd say he's worth that, if not maybe a little more. I feel like he had some case for his money, but the Mets are a competitor. They went to the NLCS last year with against the Dodgers, and I mean, they just got Juan Soto. You bring back Pete Alonso, you have two very good power bats right there, and that's a Mets team I really don't want to face.
No, it's really not. Alonso, I mean, obviously, staying with the Mets. I mean, the Mets wanted to keep him anyways. I know he kind of wanted to get out, but the Mets kind of sweetened the deal. What was it, 54 million total? So
Yep,
on a
2 years.
2 year deal. So I mean, what? That's 27 mil.
27, and he has an
Yeah,
opt-out after the first year.
and yeah. Look, they sweetened the deal for him to come back. He came back, and I think you know the Mets are going to be a serious contender this year. I mean, they're loading up just like the Dodgers are. I mean, they're not loading up nearly as much as the Dodgers are, because it seems like the Dodgers owner just has unlimited money. Or wait, no, hold on. They're just deferring everything for the next decade. So when the Dodgers collapse, man, it's gonna be the greatest fucking like thing ever. Um, but yeah, I think for the Mets, this I mean, I don't think it puts them over the top at all. I mean, I just don't. I mean, the Dodgers might do the Dodgers thing and fucking, choke in the playoffs again, like we thought they would do this year. But I think overall, for the Mets, having Pete Alonso back in that lineup is only a positive. And now you're not looking for, that second power bat because there's really not a whole lot out there on the market right now.
Yeah, considering they were looking at Spencer Torkelson, if Pete Alonso walked, I'd much rather Pete Alonso than Spencer Torkelson.
I'd rather have Pete Alonso than Spencer Torkelson as well. But I mean, uh, Chris Ilitch is he's one of them. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and speaking of good old Chris Ilitch, he decided to finally spend a little something, reuniting with an old friend and Jack Flaherty on a 2-year, $35 million contract. So, Scooble, Flaherty, let's go.
Yeah, look, I'm excited for it. I mean, Flaherty wanted to be in Detroit. He said it in an interview last year after he got traded. He's like, no, I didn't want to leave Detroit. I wanted to stay there. So basically, we stole Trey Sweeney from the Dodgers for a fucking rental player that came right back to us. So you gotta love it, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah, and Tyron Alonso,
yeah,
who also came with Trey Sweeney.
yep, love it.
Like him too.
I love it. I love it. But this really helps the Tigers because I think Scott Harris recognized like yeah we need help in that starting rotation. Now you have Jack Flaherty alongside Tarek Skubal again, and you pair him. They signed Alex Cobb, and Cobb isn't what he used to be, but he's still a very serviceable, MLB level pitcher who can get you wins and keep you in games. And you get a little of that Chris Fetter magic, and maybe he'll fucking be an elite level pitcher this year as well. And then you have Reese Olson who can be really really good. Just depends on the day for him. And you potentially have Jackson Jobe coming up in there now. So I mean, you got yourself a really really good rotation. You easily have a top a top 10, maybe even a top 7 starting rotation in the MLB now with especially now with Flaherty and Skubal. And I would even throw Cobb into that mix of like guys who can get you a ton of wins this year.
I mean, I don't think that's much of a stretch to say they have top 10, top 7 pitching staff. I mean, we said it. We saw what Jack Flaherty and Tarek Skubal were doing last year. They were both pretty much guaranteed wins anytime they stepped up on the mound. And the Tigers pretty much stole 2 prospects from the Dodgers. Sure, they got Jack Flaherty for the rest of the season and got the World Series ring, but where is he now? And yeah, sure, they got Roki Sasaki and whatnot. They got what was it, Blake Snell?
Yeah, they got Snell, they got Sasaki. I mean, they got pretty much everyone.
They still lost Walker Buehler. Garrett Crochet
That's
still
true.
went to Boston.
That's true.
So right now, those are my top 3 pitching staffs I'm looking at for next year. I'm watching Detroit because you said it. Reese Olson. I want to highlight last year. There was a time where that dude was like 0 and 8, 1 and 8 with a 1.99 ERA.
Just goes to show you how fucking bad the Tigers' hitting was last year.
If that man had an offense behind him, holy fuck. The Tigers would have had two Cy Young competitors outside of Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, and like I said, look, Reese Olson, you know, yes, he started off the season amazingly hot. He kind of, right around, the summertime, he started fading out. He went, well above a 2.0 ERA, and there was games where he just wasn't really in it, like Scuba was in every single game. Scuba was in that game every single game, but if he can stay hungry like he was at the start of last year, I think that could be huge. And then Jackson Job's a wild card. You know, if he even does make that starting rotation, because I'd like to see Matt Manning get a chance too. I would really love to see that again, but who knows?
Yeah, I think Matt Manning's time is all but done up in the big leagues for Detroit. But if he's getting a shot, I think he's getting a shot from the bullpen at this point. I don't know if they're going to start him anymore. They've given him some chances, and he has had flashes, but overall, he hasn't performed the greatest. But it could just be he started doing well and got injured, and that's pretty much been his story for most of his career. Is he got injured and doesn't play as well anymore, but he still has those moments where he didn't really develop as much as Reese Olson or Tarek Skubal, especially. But comparing any Tigers pitcher to Tarek Skubal right now is a pretty unfair comparison.
I remember back, before Mize got injured, we were talking about Mize possibly being that Cy Young sort of guy, and now obviously, after his injury, is just he's not. I mean, he's still, I think, a serviceable pitcher. I mean, he'll get you some wins, but it'll also get you some losses. But like, he's your fifth guy on your rotation. He's not that elite pitcher that he was supposed to be, and I don't think he will ever now live up to that potential that he had to, which sucks, to say, because he had so much potential. He had some good stuff, but now he's just not the same.
Right, and I think with Mize, especially now, he's on like you said, he's that five spot, and I think he's in that competition with the likes of Jackson Jobe, Cater Montero, and maybe even Brant Herter, because they were using an opener for him last year and him as a long reliever. But I think they have the potential to start him, because there were games where he was in long relief and he would go 6, 7 innings, and at that point, why not just start him? You have an opener for him go 1 inning. Yeah, he goes 6, 7 innings. That's the eighth or the ninth. At that point, just start him, and then use the opener as the middle reliever, and then bring in a closer. I think they can try it. Yeah, that's what spring training's for, right? And that's what I think they're gonna do in spring training. It's gonna be Cater Montero, Jackson Jobe, Casey Mize, and maybe Brant Herter for that five spot in the rotation. Other than that, you're gonna have Tarek Skubal, Jack Flaherty, Reese Olson, and Alex Cobb as your 1 through 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very, very good, strong, starting rotation for the Tigers. And again, I don't know necessarily quite yet if I would put them in a top 3 spot for pitching staffs in the MLB, but it's definitely up there, in well inside the top 10. Hell, I would probably say even top 5, but top 3, I'm not 100% yet. I want to see what Alex Cobb looks like this year first, and then I'll decide if they're top 3. But anyways, enough baseball, enough basketball. We are going to talk the last football game of the year. or last football game that matters of the year, or season, because I mean, you got the UFL starting up soon, but yeah, no one really cares. Um, Super Bowl is this Sunday. Again, we hit on it in the opener. It is not the game. Is not the game that America wanted at all. Everyone wanted like just not these two teams, and you got these two teams. You got Philadelphia and Kansas City facing off this week or this Sunday at 6:30 in Louisiana. Kansas City opened this week as a 1.5 point favorite. That's gone down to just a 1 point favorite heading into the game. We might see some more line movement this week or leading up to the game. It might switch towards Philly. It certainly looks that way. The way the money's being handled right now. A lot of money on the Chiefs right now to win it all. And that's simply because there's a lot of ref ball this year with the Chiefs, man. I mean, it's the story everyone's been talking about is like, if the refs weren't so, biased is the only way to really word it. They might not have near the record that they do this year, and they probably lose in the playoffs as well. This team is not convincing, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we know they're really good, but offensively, man, something just hasn't been right all year. Mahomes hasn't been himself. Obviously they're pretty banged up too. I mean, Rashee Rice is gone. McCole Hardman gone. Sky Moore also gone. I mean, the list goes on and on with offensive talent just dead this year for the Chiefs. But they're still finding ways to win. A lot of that has to do with that defense that is really, really good. On the flip side with Philadelphia, we know that defense is the best defense in the league, and they have been all year, stopping everyone in their path. Saquon, obviously the complete engine of that Philadelphia offense. The only reason why that offense is really that good, I mean, Jalen Hurts, yes, he's been smart with the ball, but he's not throwing the ball a whole lot. I mean, he has 361 pass attempts this year in the regular season. I mean, that is insane. When you have most quarterbacks are averaging well over 400 starting quarterbacks. But when he does throw it, he is very smart with the ball. I mean, again, 15 picks this year. Really, really solid year just protecting the ball. But this offense isn't that great if Saquon isn't going. But if you get Saquon going, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to stop this offense. But I'm going to pick this week. I'm going with the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs. I'm going with the Eagles to win. I think that they can get this done. I think the Chiefs' offense is going to really, really struggle against this Philadelphia defense, and someone's going to finally dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'd love to see it, but I don't know. Like you said, a lot of the money's going to the Chiefs, and kind of have to agree. I mean, it just seems like it's going to happen. It's just inevitable, like Thanos. But at the end of the day, I mean, you said it. I mean, barring, potential fourth down conversion by Buffalo, this could be Josh Allen against Philly. And barring some other results working out the opposite way for the Chiefs in the regular season, they might not even be in this position, period. But reality is they're here. Get used to it. They're going to win. They're the new era Patriots, and you're just going to get force-fed down your throat. And one of their players is dating a celebrity. You bet your ass that's going to bring in more money, so you bet your ass they're center stage.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, we were talking about this pre-show. Like, no one, I don't want to watch this game. Like, mentally, I know I don't want to watch this game, but I also know I'm probably gonna end up watching it at some point, or at the very, very least, I'm gonna be fucking checking the score very frequently. But like, look, realistically, no one wanted this. No one likes the Eagles because their fans are the worst in all of professional sports, at least in the U.S. And the Chiefs they're the Patriots, and they're annoying, and they have the refs clearly on their side. And yeah, man, it's just no one wanted this Super Bowl matchup outside of these two fan bases. Um, so it's just who I don't really care. Like, this is the first time I don't really care about the Super Bowl ever in my life, and I'm gonna watch the highlights for next week's show, but um, I don't really care to watch it, to be honest with you. I'm like, and the halftime show sucks too because it's the halftime show. So like, who I just I don't know, man. It's just such a fucking weird feeling going into this weekend. Like, normally, I'm super hyped up about watching the Super Bowl, but this year, man, it's just like I don't care. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, literally, the only difference could be it could not be the Eagles or it could not be the Chiefs, and I might watch it. So, like I said, Philly fans, they might just be the worst in professional sports, like across the board. But I mean, the Chiefs, they're just like the Patriots. You know, they're annoying. They win in scummy ways, and then they, you know, act all high and mighty about it. People ask them questions about, winning games with the refs, assistants, and all that, and they're just like, yeah, we just played the game how you're supposed to, and blah blah blah. But when very clearly there's more penalties called against the opposing team, and you look at those penalties, they're phantom penalties. It's like, what are the refs actually looking at? It's like baseball with umps like Angel Hernandez. It gets to a point where like you blow so many calls or you have so many bad calls where it's like you got to be questioned. You got to be like at least brought in and say, all right, are you purposely doing this? I mean, look at Pete Rose from the MLB, the all-time hit leader, blacklisted from the Hall of Fame because he was betting on games. So if the NFL wants to be taken seriously, they got to do shit like that. They got to thoroughly investigate this shit and say, all right, are the refs actively swaying the outcomes because of bets? And if it's the refs just doing it because, the NFL is an entertainment organization and they're entitled to rig outcomes if they want to, then just do a better job of it. It shouldn't be this fucking blatant if it is.
No, it shouldn't be. And look, we could bitch and moan, but at the end of the day, nothing's gonna fucking change about it. So, um,
Right, because, like, even boxing, we all know about that. And when that came out, it was, no, 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 everyone, the whole stigma, or wrestling, that's not fake, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we all know the truth. And, like, that was still believable, and people still to this day defend it. This shit is just, like, you can't make it up. Like, we were watching the Kansas City Houston game, me and one of my buddies, and literally, like, jokingly, he was just like, oh, watch flag. Because, like, Houston got a positive play, and shit you not, every time there was a flag, it called it back. Or every time Kansas City missed a play, flag to give it to him. It's just like, all right, this shit is getting too fucking predictable at this point.
well, it's like 2 weeks ago in the AFC Championship game, I wasn't even like necessarily watching the play. I was just looking at the bottom corner to make sure a flag wasn't thrown because something that wasn't good for the Chiefs happened. So I was like, okay, there's probably gonna be a flag to get rid of all that. But it just is what it is. Um, but yeah, man, it's I don't know. I don't really care about the Super Bowl this year. It's sad to say, but um, yeah. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for us. Next Thursday we will be back. Obviously talking mostly Super Bowl and then just any big news that comes up out of that, out of any other sport, really. Ovechkin, he's climbing the ladder ever so slightly too. He did score another goal the other night. Granted, it was empty netter, but still. But he's getting there. He's getting there to Gretzky's record, and we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But anyways, guys, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what you guys want to see more of course.
He scored a goal tonight.
Oh, he did?
26 on the year.
Oh, there you go. Then another one tonight. But anyways, follow us on Twitter at the Andrew and Ian Show. Check out our YouTube page, of course. We're gonna keep on growing this thing, guys. Thank you guys again so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Thursday.